unemployment rate in the country. According to a World Bank survey, it is set to rise to about 10%. We'll be having that conversation later on this broadcast, but first, we take a look at the highlights. Now, CMA kicks off search for a new CEO. Now, EAC investigations delay Telkom Airtel merger. Trans Nzoia residents benefit from a multi-billion water project. Well, thank you for joining us. This is K24 Inside Business. And you are watching a show that brings you up to date with the latest in the world of business. And also you can interact with us on our social media platforms at K24 TV on Instagram, Facebook, and also on Twitter. But mostly Twitter is where we'll have more engagement. Welcome to this broadcast. Now, the Capital Markets Authority has kicked off the search for a new CEO to replace the outgoing boss, Paul Muthaura. The authority says interested parties have until 27 September to submit their applications. Paul Muthaura did not show intention of renewing contract when it will expire on 31st December 2019. The Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury and Planning will appoint a new chief executive on recommendations of the board of the Capital Markets Authority for a 4-year renewable contract. Since September 2014, Muthaura has been an elected board member of the International Organization of Securities Commission and is currently the chairman of the Africa and Middle East Regional Committee on ISCO. We'll look at CMA board chairman, who James Njenga observed that the chief executive role would provide vision and leadership in the regulation and development of Kenya's capital markets. Now, property owners and developers are counting losses following an oversupply of both residential and commercial housing units, coupled with credit crunch further eroding their earnings. The latest market update from property consultancy Knight & Frank indicates that values in the country's property market fell by more than 6.7% in the past year, dashing hopes of a long-anticipated recovery. Sarah Adam with that report.
Residential rents reduced by 1.7%, taking the annualized decline to 3.3% in the year to June. The average rental rates for office space in Westlands, Upper Hill, Kilimani and Nairobi's Central Business District have all plateaued, with some of them hitting a 5-year low. Cement production also decreased by 5.8% from 1.55 million tons in the first half of 2018 to 1.46 million tons over a similar period this year, pointing to a slowdown in construction projects as developers sit out the current glut. Rents for prime space in shopping malls also decreased by 5.9% in the first half of 2019 to 480 per square foot per month. This as landlords come under pressure to attract new tenants and retain existing occupiers. The pressure was compounded by tough economic conditions that have left most consumers with less disposable incomes, directly impacting on retailers. Occupancy levels in established malls remained high at 90% in the first half, while new retail developments completed in the last 18 months recorded occupancy levels of between 45% and 55%. A trend was noted in the period where current and new tenants are opting to take up space within extensions in established malls to tap into the existing clientele rather than open shop in new retail centers. Overall footfall increased over the 6 months due to the presence of fully operational anchor tenants in most shopping malls. Sarah Adam, K24 for Inside Business.
Now, the merger between Telkom Kenya and Airtel now faces a new challenge with the ongoing investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. According to Telkom CEO Mugo Kibati, the deal and intention of the merger is to give Kenyans an alternative solution, which is now being jeopardized. Mugo further reads sabotage in the process. Jimmy Mbogo went to that event and he has the following details.
Indeed, thank you very much, Karen. A very good afternoon to you too. Yes, we are currently at the Telecom Kenya headquarters right here in Nairobi, where we have been briefed on the intended merger between Telecom Kenya and Airtel Kenya. Now, what we have been made to understand is the fact that the merger could actually be delayed by investigations that are currently being conducted by EACC on some of the transition that had been carried out before by Telecom Kenya. Now, according to the CEO Mugu Kibati, this might actually have an impact in terms of finalizing this merger, to be able to ensure that all those who were supposed to be fired, all those employees who were supposed to be laid off owing to redundancy, were supposed to then go home and be taken up again through in the merged entity.
Now, on the 14th of August 2019, Telecom Kenya was in receipt of a request from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to furnish the Commission with information in connection with investigations the EACC is carrying out on allegations of misappropriation of public funds in the process of the recapitalization and restructuring of the balance sheet of Telecom Kenya in 2012. This investigation now impacts the progress of the intended transaction, as the requisite regulatory bodies have since been put a pause on the approval process. Now, what's the impact of this delay? Further delay to the approval of this transaction could find Kenya staring at the potential of reversion of the telco sector into a monopoly, impacting negatively on the welfare of the consumer and the economy. A monopoly, I will remind everybody, poses a systemic risk of price increases, innovation inertia, and a stunted telecom market, owing to the lack of competition, which ultimately leaves a consumer with little and actually no choice, frankly speaking. The transaction would see the intended engagement, this transaction, which hopes to see the engagement of employees from Telcom into the combined entity and its outsourced partners, is hampered by this delay, and those employees will be left in limbo. This integral component of transaction now leaves the future of our staff and their dependents hanging precariously in the balance. So this is the impact of the delay that we're talking about.
And now, according to Mr. Kibati, he actually tells us that as things are, with this merger being delayed, it could actually lead to a monopolistic kind of operation where we have the dominant player, that being Safaricom, controlling the large share of the market. But this is actually basically forcing Kenyans to lack options. This is making Safaricom a single player in the market, which actually limits the options that Kenyans will have in terms of their telecom operation. Their downside to having a single player is the fact that innovations will not be as prolific as it should be in terms of options, in terms of rating. This could actually also be affected by having a single player controlling the entire market.
Competitive pricing does not exist due to the existence of a single player. Price dictation becomes the order of the day. Choice lacks. In a single player market, the consumer would lose out on options to cater for the dynamic needs and wants within their budgets. There is innovation inertia when you have a single player market. When you have a single player, there's no urgency to innovate new products and solutions that are meant to better the consumer's telecommunications experience. In a stunted market environment, the telco sector will not grow and expand, which could lead to Kenya's telco sector losing out on its leadership role in this region. And most importantly, investors would be loath to invest in such a market. What we're talking about here, therefore, is not trivial. It is not about Telecom Kenya or Airtel or Safaricom. It is about the telecom sector as a whole, and it is about our country. With regard to the ongoing narrative of the EACC, the Anti-Corruption Commission investigations, we have given the EACC all the information they have requested and will continue to cooperate on the matter up until a substantive conclusion is reached. Having said that, let me reiterate that the current transaction between Telkom and Airtel is still an ongoing process, as I have enumerated. I have indicated the date we made the announcement on the intention to merge our businesses, at which point we indicated we would be making applications to the relevant regulators. We have made those applications. Certain milestones, as I have indicated, have been met, but we still await the final approval from the regulators. And we intend not to do anything that prejudices those approvals. Every action we have taken has been clearly made subject to these approvals and in a very transparent manner.
Now, Karo, according to the CEO, that is Mr. Mungo Kibati, he says they remain hopeful that all the regulatory approvals that they need to push the merger through will be granted as soon as possible to be able to ensure that this issue is sorted out. And they're saying they're fully cooperating with the EACC to also ensure that their investigations are well conducted to be able to ensure that they are cleared to go on with their operation. For now, that's all the time we've got from this end. We'll be giving you more updates in our subsequent bulletins. But for now, back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy Mbogo. Now we cross over now to Mombasa County, where our reporter Fred Kai is on standby. Now, the ASK show, the Mombasa edition, is about to kick off. That is tomorrow, and he's been speaking to various exhibitors. And Kai, if you can just update us on what's the latest in terms of how the number of exhibitors that are expected to attend this year's Mombasa ASK edition.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Niko maeneo ya Mombasa ambapo tunaweza sema kwamba show ya mwaka huu ambao inajulikana kama International Show ambayo inaweza kufanyika pale rasmi hapo kesho, ni kwamba basi exhibitors karibia 200 tayari washaweza kuconfirm kwamba watakuwa katika maonyesho haya ya kilimo ya mwaka huu. Na tukiangazia kwamba swala zima la mwaka huu basi katika show hii ni kuonyesha kwamba mambo na blue economy, ambapo tunaweza kuona kwamba hii itakuwa mara ya kwanza kwa maonyesho haya ya Mombasa kuweza kuonyesha ama kushowcase mambo na blue economy, na ambapo tumeweza kuona kwamba ni baadhi tu ya zile agenda 4 za serikali kuu ya kitaifa, na kuona kwamba basi vijana wataweza kuonyesha skills zao mbalimbali kuhusu swala zima hili la blue economy. Na tumeweza kuona kwamba mambo haya ya blue economy basi yameweza kuzua mtafaruku hapa na pale, na kuona kwamba vijana wengi basi wako na ari ya kuweza kupata skills ili kuweza kujinufaisha katika utendakazi wa mambo haya ya baharini. Na moja kwa moja basi tuweze kujumuika na vijana ambao wataweza kutuambia tufika ni chama gani ama ni vuguvugu gani kuweza kuona kwamba wanaweza kuchampion kuhusu swala zima hili la blue economy, na ni jinsi gani basi wataweza kufaidika endapo basi njia mbadala ama njia sahihi zitaweza kufuatwa ili kuona kwamba county ya Mombasa ama county za Pwani basi zinaweza kunufaika na masuala haya ya blue economy. Na moja kwa moja basi kama tunaweza kujiunga na mimi hapa, tuanze tu na majina yako, aitwa nani na tuambie fika ni yapi ambayo mnaweza kuya champion katika swala zima hili la blue economy.
Okay, kwa jina langu naitwa Dim Karumba Matano, ndio chama wa Jumuiya Common Front for Development Organization. Kwanza ningependa kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta kwa kuleta hii concept ya blue economy, kwa sababu bahari imekuwa hapa Indian Ocean miaka yote, lakini toka nizaliwe nilikuwa sijasikia kuna blue economy, lakini nimeisikia wakati huu ambapo Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta ndio anaongoza. Kwa hivyo kwa kikamilifu sisi tunamuunga mkono 100% kuhakikisha kwamba blue economy development agenda inasonga mbele. Na kwa mtazamo wangu sioni kama kuna mpwani yoyote ambaye anapinga hizi agenda, isipokuwa labda ni interest tofauti ambazo zinapigana katika wale mabwenyenye ambao wako kwenye hiyo sekta. Lakini kama sisi kama jamii wa Mijikenda tuna support kwa kikamilifu mambo na blue economy, na wale ambao pengine wana mawazo tofauti hapa na pale, tunaamini kwamba si kupenda kwao, ni pengine ni interest fulani ndio ambazo zinawasukuma kufanya hivyo.
Na pengine ni masuala yapi ambayo pengine ungependa yaweze kuangaziwa vilivyo ili kuona kwamba mnaweza kuafikiwa kwa vijana katika mkoa huu wa Pwani kuweza kuafikiwa ili kuweza kuona kwamba wanapata ajira katika sekta hii ya
kwanza kabisa kuanzisha hiyo program kama iwe success, hiyo blue economy, kuhakikisha kwamba vijana tunawapatia uwezo na vipawa vya kusoma zile courses ambazo zinatakikaniwa katika Technical and Vocational Training Institute. Hizi polytechnic zetu ambazo ziko kule nyanjani ziwe zitakuwa introduced programs ambazo ni ama syllabus ambazo zitakuwa zinafundisha mambo na hospitality alafu na mambo na maritime, ili by the time wale vijana wanakuja hapa Bandari Maritime Academy wao wanakuja kwa zile practical skill courses, sijui zinaitwa CFTW. Yeah.
Shukrani sana kwa muda wako. Naam, Caroline, umeweza kusikia kutoka kwa vijana hawa wa kaunti ya Mombasa, ambapo ni baadhi tu ya vijana ambao kutoka mkoa huu wa Pwani ambao wanaweza kuchampion kuhusu swala zima hili la blue economy ili kuona kwamba vijana wanaweza kunufaika na sekta hii, na umeweza kuona kwamba wao hawapingi ajenda hii ya serikali, na hivyo basi wanaona kwamba ni haswa kuona kwamba president aweze kuona kwamba anaweza kuangazia swala zima hili kuweza kuna pengine kama wanaweza kupata funds ili waweze kujiendeleza katika elimu yao na kuweza kujiajiri katika sekta hii ya blue economy. Kutoka hapa na kuregesha kwako studio, Caroline.
Asante sana Kai. That has been Kai, who is our Mombasa reporter, speaking about the blue economy, which is going to be the center of focus tomorrow once the ASK show kicks off tomorrow. Now we move on to other subject or a discussion of the day, and I'm joined by Amina Jarso, who is the assistant at the African Tech Challenge. She's going to tell us more about the African Tech Challenge, but first we look at the unemployment rate in the country. First of all, thank you for coming to us studios.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we can speak on unemployment rate in the country. You've seen every year 1 million youth get into the job market, but there are no jobs. How do the government also from your end address that?
Well, I believe the unemployment rate is a natural result of population growth, a big number of young people, but the quality of the labor force has not been able to catch up with this. So the youth do not have the skills required by the employers, and most of the industries that are in the private sector do not set up funds, obviously, to train the students, because they expect the education sector to have trained the students for work. So if the students do not have the skills required, they're not able to secure the jobs that they need.
Okay, and that's where the African Tech Challenge comes in, yeah? You can tell us a little bit about the history of the African Tech Challenge, and you're in season 6, and tell us a little bit more of where it has been and where we're headed.
Right, so Africa Tech Challenge began in 2014. It's a CSR project that seeks to equip youth with practical skills. Most of the youth come from technical training institutions that have been really focused on theoretical work. So part of what the Africa Tech Challenge does is we bring professors from institutions in China that have very big experience with a factory in school model, which they're very familiar with using practical skills from education sector directly into the industry. So the Africa Tech Challenge started in 2014 in season 1, where we had training in CNC lathe machining as well as conventional lathe machining, and at the moment we are at season 6 and we've been able to directly train 516 participants so far.
What kind of training do you offer, and also do you have various sectors that you mostly focus on?
So far we've been able to focus on 3 disciplines. There is mechatronics, there is mechanical engineering technology, as well as the IT sector. So what we've been doing so far is that we've been bringing in students from various institutions, and actually interesting to note that this year we've had students not only from Kenyan technical training institutions but also all over Africa, because we call it Africa Tech Challenge, and it's only we should live up to the name and also have people from other countries. So we have people from West Africa, like from Ghana. We have people from Central Africa, from Gabon. We have people from Southern Africa, like Zambia, and we have almost all the countries in Eastern Africa, which is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Tanzania, and Ethiopia.
Okay. You did say you're in season 6 right now.
Correct.
What is the ultimate prize for, let's say, like I want to participate in the African Tech Challenge. What should I look forward to?
Well, definitely first you'll have a training, which is not what people are used to. Actually, I would be interested to share with you this, that when they come for the training, very few people bring books with them. Once they're in the TTIs, they do a lot of note-taking, but there it's more about the teacher demonstrating and the students being able to follow that and following what the teacher is doing. And after the training, there is an evaluation competition, after which there are scholarships awarded for the top 3 participants. And then there are contracts that are awarded to the institutions that produce parts that are actually made in Kenya and exported to China, which is obviously different from what we're used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you usually handpick the participants, or is it, do you have to, it's an application process?
It's an application process, and we actually encourage all the TTIs to encourage their students to apply. And also from the various African countries, we have the government involved, and we have the institutions selecting their best students.
Okay, so what is the aim of this African Tech Challenge? Is it to fill in the skills gap that is required? And you've seen also the government now going that way with the introduction of the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum. So how do you go about it as the African Tech Challenge?
Right, so the objective of Africa Tech Challenge is threefold. We want to equip the youth with the practical skills that they need to fill the skills gap that you're talking about for industrialization of the various economies. We want to empower them to realize that technical training, practical competence is as much important as the white-collar jobs. The blue-collar jobs are just as valuable as the white-collar jobs, and we also want to inspire them with global standards, so they're exposed to global standards as the professors from China and the various students from other countries.
Okay, so your aim is to connect maybe the applicants who maybe will win this challenge, the season 6, maybe to exporters out there.
Correct.
Was it the same thing that happened in season 5? Or?
Correct. So we've had every season. For season 1, we had contracts given to the top 2 institutions and the top 3 participants as well, getting scholarships to China. And differently, we did season 4, which we did on a construction site, and we had construction disciplines of bricklaying, steelworks, and those were able to get jobs. But as well as season 5 and season 6, we've had the contracts given, and very soon we'll have the ceremony to also award the contracts for this season.
Okay, so if I want to participate, how do I go about it?
So we have a website where any student who is attached to an institution at the moment can apply, and we will go through your resume, and we will be able to meet you and shortlist, because very many people apply for this. Very many people need this opportunity, but unfortunately we're not able to take everybody, but we try to involve as many people as possible.
Okay, so you're trying to do your role maybe as African Tech Challenge is a TVET program, yeah?
Right, so Africa Tech Challenge is actually a CSR project of AVIC International, which is a state-owned Chinese company, but in partnership with the Ministry of Education. So what they do is they equip technical training institutions with equipment, but they realize, because if the people are not able to use the equipment, then it doesn't help the institution as much. So that is why they came up with the CSR project that of Africa Tech Challenge.
So far, how many young people have participated?
Well, so far directly we have trained till season 5, it was 497 participants, and this year we had about 70 participants as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to our studios and educating us more about this African Tech Challenge. As she has said, the African Tech Challenge.